Welcome to another episode of Bubbles and Beyond. Today we are very honored to be joined by the one and only Bertus Basson.
Thank you, Candice.
Thank you so much for joining us and thanks for your time. We are, of course, in the beautiful Bubbles Bar, Petites, in Herta Street, and it's always nice to be here. I had a glass of bubbles on the stoep and it's just so nice to sit and watch the people go by. It's wonderful. Bertus, the one question that always comes up first when people talk about you is how many restaurants does Bertus have?
Sure. So it's an interesting question, Candice. So currently there's eight spaces really. So in Stellenbosch it's Acre Canteen, Spekkenboene de Vrije Burger, and then in town the Vrije Burger as well. And then Vergenoeg Wine Estate, there's Heels and Claras. Waterkloof has got Chorus, and then there's also a catering company, Abundance Catering in Somerset West.
Amazing. That's amazing, and it's quite a wide spectrum of brands and offerings.
Yeah. So I think so often people typecast themselves into something, pigeonhole yourself, and I would hate to be a guy that pigeonholes myself as like a South African, Afrikaans-speaking fine dining guy. I love burgers and I love pizza and I love tapas and I love lots of things as long as it's delicious. And a lot of these things that we sort of almost want to say gave birth to along the way are things that we did purely because we love them, and I think that's quite like this. It's quite organic, but I think the best way somebody once put it to me, and I was quite chuffed. Probably my best compliment ever was Bertus Basson is the chef van die mense. So I thought that's quite lekker. Yeah.
That's. Has it always been Stellenbosch, or if not, why Stellenbosch? Did you grow up here? Have you always lived here? Why Stellenbosch, or why the wine lids?
So Candice, I think I'm the luckiest person in the world to have ended up where I've ended up. So I was born in Cape Town, in Bellville, and I grew up in the north. So Pietersburg, Blokwane, Witmont, Nelspruit. And then I made it to Stellenbosch, and my first restaurant was Overture outside of Stellenbosch, and. I still can't believe that I get to live here, to be honest with you. It's an incredible town. It's got an amazing culture, and the reason I think why food does well in Stellenbosch is also because of our very vibrant wine industry. And I've got this theory that where there's if you're close to the ocean and you've got vineyards, the food will be better. So Stellenbosch is really poised itself as like a food sort of town, and also Stellenboschers are eaters. So a lot of our local guests or regular guests are people we see once or twice a week, either at the Vrije Burger or Spekkenboene or whatever the case might be. And I can't for the life of me think how I ended up here sometimes, but I'm here.
Yeah.
And it really is an amazing place to be. I wouldn't want to run my restaurants or from anywhere else but here.
Yeah, I do agree. I sometimes feel like we're in a bubble, and it's just every morning I drive down the R44. Wow!
Yeah.
Wow!
It's such a beautiful reality. I mean, today I had to go coming to Stellenbosch for another meeting, and it's the first sort of real almost springy day today in Stellenbosch, and the sun hit sort of through the oak trees doesn't have leaves yet, so the sun hits beautifully into the streets. And just think to yourself, I can't believe that I live here. And I think, to be honest with you, I really pretty much feel like that also about not as strongly, but I love being South African. So I feel the same thing when I'm in Joburg or when I'm in Nelspruit or the Bush or when I'm in the Karoo. I just think, sure, I'm the luckiest human being to live in South Africa.
I couldn't agree with you more. So have you been to Petites? Have you had a drink here?
Look, I know Neil's the owner of Petites, and before he opened up, he asked me to come and have a coffee with him and talk about restaurants and stuff for an hour or so, which I gladly did. But I haven't been back for a drink yet, so I need to make a plan. Yeah.
He just wanted to pick your brain and get some advice.
Exactly, which is what we should do.
Yeah, exactly.
We should ask more people for more advice before we do stuff.
100%. So, which brings me to my next question. What do you? Firstly, let me go back to. This winter, how did you experience the winter season in Stellenbosch?
It was a great winter for us. I think traditionally restaurants and wine farms and wineries really struggle during winter. We measure every winter sort of obviously on the back of the winter before, and this was definitely maybe our strongest winter since COVID, to be honest with you. Obviously COVID is like the big divider for us, pre-COVID and post-COVID in our heads, all of us pretty much. But this was a good winter for us, and I think the positive thing for Stellenbosch, and even in Cape Town when I'm at the Vryburger at the Tamak market, I've just been seeing so many tourists. So a lot of American tourists, tourists from the Middle East. There's been a lot of Dutch tourists this winter, so it's been really cool, and I think people are realizing what a valuable place South Africa is, and especially in winter, folks like to come here on safari. So they'll go to the north first, do safari, and then they think, sure, Cape Town's quite close and it's quite affordable. They make their way to Cape Town, and then they make their way to the winelands as well. So we see a difference in the winelands, and it's so encouraging for us. Not only having a local market, but also having an international market who's willing to travel in our winter. Stellenbosch, Stellenbosch is a bit of an anomaly, to be honest with you. So Stellenbosch has got other activities that make Stellenbosch sort of a wonderful town to operate in. So firstly, we have the university, and around all university sort of activities, whether it's graduation or New Year's or first years arriving, students leaving town for the last time, we can see the impact in hospitality because their parents come and the kids go out, and it's very lekker. Then we also have a vibrant sports community. So this last weekend we had Grey here, Grey College was here, and Stellenbosch was full, and that sort of happens a couple of times a year. So we've got an interesting economy. We've got all the wine farms, we've got industry, we've got intellectual industries, we've got things happening in this town, and it keeps our town moving all the time. So the market changes constantly in Stellenbosch, but I think it's a beautiful thing that we've got this vibrancy in people coming and going continuously.
We are very blessed, and here's me just picking your brain, having opened a restaurant a year ago. Do you see the growth winter by winter? Does it get better?
So, Candice, look, you like I said, you need to measure each winter on the winter before, and we've had bad winters back to back. It is what it is. If I think back, I opened up Overture in 2007, and in 2008 we had the great economic crash. And either I was too ignorant to realize it at the time, or too young, whatever, and we survived that patch, although it was a tough patch for some reason, but you survived it. But every year, restaurants are interesting models. You can't always say, I want to grow 10% this year, 15% this year. You've got capacity, you've got seating. Winter is a weird one for us. We always think in South Africa, sure, we've got 10 months of summer, but actually we don't. We've got 6 months of summer and 6 months of cold weather. And we make that mistake as well. We build restaurants. We always build them for the summer, but never for the winter. So from heating capacity and airflow and those sort of things. So yes, we need to keep the winter in mind. The one thing that helps us a lot is we run very vibrant winter specials, and it's almost in a way to also thank locals for their support throughout the year, and that really works for us. And we don't discount the experience. We still want to give people a valuable experience. So we just want to fill the restaurant and keep it vibrant and stuff. But yes, winters are tough, and it's not just tough for us at Stellenbosch. Franschhoek has also been tough. I think Paul is quite tough. I've got lots of friends in Cape Town they've also had a tough winter depending on where you position. But we are seasonal, and it is what it is. I think if you get your head around the thing of seasonality and working with one of the things that we learned out of COVID, for example, is pre-COVID, we always thought we need to summer-proof our restaurants from a staffing perspective, enough staff to get through the summer. Now we're saying, no, we don't have to do that. Let's have a little enough staff to survive the winter. So we all work harder in summer and we reward the guys accordingly. And then in winter, when we can take it easy, we take more time off. So just to be able to mitigate that, and our teams understand that as well. So for example, we would like young chefs to be able to answer the phone, make a coffee, and greet the guest. And waiters must be able to serve a table and clean, so that we all become multi-purposed. And if we do that in our businesses, like Europe, then it changes the game for us a bit.
That's amazing to hear. If people go, there's so many Bertus Basson restaurants around. If I go to Acre tonight, or if I go to Speckenburner, or if I go there, will I see him? How involved are you? How often are you? And how do you decide, how do you split your time between all the restaurants?
It's also an interesting question. So, Candice, I try and be everywhere, to be honest with you. It's not obviously always possible. I've just come back from a 3.5-week TV stint again, so it makes it a bit difficult. But my favorite place to be is in my restaurants with my people. So,
and when you say people, do you mean customers or your staff?
Both. So every restaurant has got, I said, we call them management couples, but they're not always couples, not really couples. So Acre, for example, has got Dan as a chef, and he's an incredible guy, and Dan looks after Acre and Canteen. And then Quentin is there, who's our manager, he's been with us for a long time. Quentin is incidentally now moving to Chorus when we reopen after renovations. And when we've got that in place, like a really good team of managers, I can communicate really well with them. And when we change menus and stuff on there, and when a dish changes, I get a phone call and we can talk through things. So we try and maintain sort of the ethos of a business, which is seasonal, fresh, like those sort of things constantly, and food that we can think about a little bit. But every restaurant has its own personality. So Speck and Bone isn't Acre isn't Chorus. That's important to us. So every chef that works in the restaurant can be creative in a way. And then in some of our businesses, we've got young partners. So for example, Speck and Bone, Michael is a partner in the business. He's been with us for about 7 years.
Wow.
He became a partner at Petites as a partner. In our catering company, we have a partner, and then we're opening up a restaurant soon, another also in the Winelands in Elgin. I can't tell you where just yet.
Sure.
Later.
That's exciting.
And then we're also taking on a young partner, and that's incredible. So we help young people to become business people. Obviously we've got back-end like systems that helps them. We finance and we make sure that they can be operational. But it's important for us to grow entrepreneurs in the restaurant business. And I always think that the best food comes out of independently owned restaurants where chefs own their business, and that's what we try to do. So as far as possible, that's the only way we can grow our business. I can't be everywhere, but if I'm not at Speck and Bone, Michael is there, and if Michael isn't there, like Michael was on leave and I couldn't be there, then Marcus, the chef from Chorus, is there.
Okay.
So we always make sure that there's somebody there that can look after the best interests of our guests, and that's the only way we can do it. And then I'm not at one restaurant continuously. I usually say to people I work off a motorbike. So I'm on a motorcycle and I travel between the restaurants, and then on a good day I can see all of them in one day. And then obviously, like any other business, we deal with any other, the same nonsense. We deal with cash flow, we deal with staff, we deal with like all sort of accounting, like all sort of stuff, and that we try and fit in between visiting restaurants.
Amazing. Sure, I so much that I want to ask you, and we don't have a lot of time. With all the projects you have going, you have a TV show, you're involved in a TV show, you have all these restaurants. I believe you also have interest in a beer business, Diesel and Dust, which we stock at De Vier, and the people love it. How do you do it all? How do you prioritize? How do you? Is it a calendar planning thing?
It is once a week, and then I get up usually about 5 o'clock in the morning if I do it before, and then I start doing emails, and then after emails it's exercise, and then my day starts. So to have a bit of a routine is easy. I also try to see my kids sort of as much as possible in the middle. We don't run the kind of business where I want to be able to see my kids, and we encourage that with people that work for us as well. So two of my guys, one of my partners is just got engaged to somebody else that also works we call it the Empire. And you've got to be realistic that their lives are going to change. They're getting married, and then they're going to have kids one day and stuff. So we want to build the kind of business where people can grow their lives. We want people to grow their life with us, and that makes sense for us. And that's what I would like as well. So hospitality is really tough. But the timing thing is interesting. Like I frustrate myself sometimes because when I'm in the kitchens too much, I don't spend enough time behind my computer. And then when I spend too much time behind my computer, I don't spend enough time. I get frustrated because I feel I've got to be back in the kitchen. So that balance for me is important. It's knowing that I need admin time, like anybody does, but then I also need time in the kitchen where I can stick a spoon into pots and taste and look at things and squeeze and feel. And just experience it, and then that's when you can also do things better. You say, we can do this a bit better, or that technique doesn't work for that dish, or we've got to find a new supplier for something because the old supplier, the quality's not good enough, whatever the case might be. We've got to change the pairing or the wine list, so that's always the issue for me. But I've become better at it. I think you also it becomes a problem for you when you don't empower people, and we definitely work at empowering people. So if you empower people, then and they take control, it's an amazing thing. It really buys you a bit of time. But you've also got to be available to deal with things when it happens. Yeah,
absolutely. What do you do in if and when you have free time with your family? What do you as a family like doing?
So it's interesting. So time for us is a bit of a thing. We're very fortunate that we also have a little home in the Boerkaap. So we like to Cape Town. I enjoy Stellenbosch energy, but I also enjoy the centre of town. And a little Boerkaap home is like a refuge for us. So we would go to the Boerkaap and spend a weekend there, or I can also work in town. And then I like to, well, a few basic things. So I like old Land Rovers a lot, old Defenders. I ride Harleys, and then and it's quite specific. Like I've got no other car except Land Rovers, and I ride no other motorcycles except Harleys. And I like hunting and shooting guns.
Okay.
So those sort of three things are my hobbies. Hunting plays a big role even on our restaurant menus. So if I hunt and I shoot enough, it makes its way back into the menus.
Oh wow! Okay, so you'll shoot a springbok, and next week we'll have a springbok string on the menu.
100%. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And it's also narrative. You know, we live in a country where it's possible. It's possible for you to do that. But you know, something as simple as game meat. I'm very opinionated about South African food as well. But something as simple as game meat is a natural resource that we're just not using enough. And people are scared of it because you know it's always gamey or whatever the case might be. But every animal tastes different, and we treat every animal differently. We can, if I shoot, I can butcher with my chefs. So we can do all the basic butchering, and then things that I can't make sausage and those sort of things and hot links. Then my butcher steps in. Andrew from Frankie Fenner, and Andrew will make specific game sausage for us. So it's quite lekker. So it's a training thing for my guys. It's joyful for us, and it's also very respectful. You know, I know hunting is controversial, but when you if you take something's life, then you better eat it.
Yeah.
We're not trophy hunters. Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's amazing. Okay, just a few short, one-word answers. Pizza or pasta?
Pizza.
Oh wow, sure. Beer or wine?
It's harder.
Yeah.
Can I be specific?
Okay.
So if it's wine, Riesling, Chenin Blanc, Chardonnay, preferably a Pinot Noir. And if it's beer, Diesel and Dust.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
Bloody Mary or a mimosa?
Depends on the bubbelas. If it's a tequila bubbelas or a brandy bubbelas, I would roll with a mimosa.
Oh, so sea or bush?
That's a tough question. I come from the bush and I love the sea. You know, it's a double-edged sword because both bring different peace to your mind. To be honest with you. So you know, there's nothing like a bush holiday, but also seeing the ocean and just sitting there for hours it's incredible. I'm going to have to say all of it.
Yeah,
choose
it's hard to choose.
Yeah, very tough one.
Apple or Samsung?
Apple, all the way.
Apple all the way.
Yeah.
The season is coming up, and we're all very excited for it. What do you forecast for the upcoming season in terms of tourism and?
I think we're going to have a very busy year this year. From you know, if I speak to our friends in accommodation, hotels and so on, not just in Stellenbosch but also in Cape Town, they all operate pretty full this year, and it looks like it's running deep into next year. So deep for us means up to sort of mid-April, maybe into May, and then you know, if we look at sort of inbound flights and those sort of things, there's quite a few I think that's going to be coming in. You know, cruise liners, etc., etc. So I think it's going to be a busy tourist year. I think South Africans, you know, the rand is still under pressure. You know, to travel overseas with the rand at the moment isn't great. So I do think that a lot of South Africans will choose to travel locally. You know, and even probably have staycations and so on, which is also quite lekker. There's nothing wrong with that, and enjoy your city. So I think it's going to be a very, very busy season for us coming up this year. I think it's going to be quite a spectacular one.
That's great news for all of us, I think. And just honest thought, Niels. What are your thoughts on international brands or chefs coming in, like Millhouse coming in and opening their doors? Because people flock to those kind of things. They're attracted to international brands and what they have to offer. How does it affect your businesses, or does it not affect them at all? And how do you feel about that kind of thing?
So I think in Stellenbosch especially, it's sort of more the merrier. We like Full isn't really an international brand. I've known Full for a long time. Full came to South Africa to open up the maze for Gordon Ramsay at the One Only years ago. And that's where I met him, and he used to work for Jason Atherton that oversaw the restaurant here from the UK. And we've kept in touch, and he married South African, his wife's South African, so by default his kids are South African as well. So Full's actually very South African. And he's a super cool guy and a great cook. I think it's good for us. There's a few restaurants in town that I like the fact that they opened here. I love Jess from Post and Pepper. She does an amazing job, and she's a cool chick. Mersha, I really enjoy Matt. He's a good cook as well. So from a chef's perspective, the Stellenbosch community is quite tight, and we really like to talk to each other. And it's not. We actually recently started something called the Onderstok, and we've just found that when chefs get together, we always talk about the negative stuff, bad suppliers, lazy staff, whatever the things are, that irritate you. But we never just talk about the good stuff, the positive things in our industry, and that is about food. That's about creativity and food and sharing knowledge. So we've just had the second Onderstok. The first one was with Sean with Feed. The second one we hosted at Clara's Barn. And the idea is just to get the young chefs of Stellenbosch together, all the chefs of Stellenbosch together, and we've got 25 in total. And we spent a day talking about things that are relevant to our industry. So on the first one we had Irida Twing was a speaker. I mean, I love her. She's incredible. She's like the godmother of South African food, and she had a really wonderful sort of talk about celebrating heritage as South Africa. We had Graham, the winemaker from Petites, and we had two of the chefs. Sean did a bit of demonstration, and Jess did a demonstration. In the second one, for example, we had PJ's baker, Bradley, who did a talk on sourdough, which is incredible. And then Cullen from Dusk Restaurant spoke about fermentation. And so it's very lekker. So we do those sort of things, and it's not to divide us, it's to make us stronger. We all believe that when we run better restaurants in Stellenbosch and the cooking is sharper, that more people will come. And if we do it together, it's even better. So those sort of initiatives for us is really important to promote. And it's amazing. Sometimes I walk into one of my restaurants like at Aiken, and I say, Dad, how are you doing? What I want to say, I had a beer last night with Callan or with Matt. And I'm not involved. It's just, it's cool that the guys get on, and that's really like this. So it just makes us stronger as an industry. And then with that Stellenbosch wine, which is very supportive of those sort of initiatives as well. Elmarie and Mike really help a lot with that. So I think if we get those sort of things right, it's cool. So I don't think we can ever feel threatened by good restaurants opening up. I think the problem is anywhere in the world is that when shit restaurants open up, we have a problem. And Stellenbosch has a town. I mean, since I've been in Stellenbosch, it's only been about 10 years. I've probably seen some restaurant sites turn over 3 or 4 times. So people say, it's another guy opening up. Yeah, but there's another 3 closing. There's another guy opening up. There's another 2 closing. That's the reality of Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch is on the move constantly, and if you take a very short look at it, then you'll see lots of restaurants, but you won't ever see the bigger picture, which is yes, there's lots of them. But lots of them are closing and opening up, and sometimes a restaurant closes down and then a gallery opens up. A restaurant closes down, a clothing shop opens up. It's not always restaurant sites. So it's an interesting sort of little space to be. I think, yeah.
I also found when you start opening up to people like Niels, for example, at the Champagne Bar, and I had a discussion with Jace at Post and Pepper, when you start talking about the realness and the hardships and the struggles and everything, people kind of support you, and you come together and you talk about, yes, last week we had such a crap week and it was so quiet, and what do we do here, and what supplier do you use for this, etc, etc, etc. So really I also feel like it's everyone wants to support each other, which is amazing.
And you find often, you go, sure, I've had a quiet week, but then everybody had a quiet week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the reality. It's not like, you had a quiet week in winter, and it's like everybody had a quiet week in winter. That's life.
Yeah.
And you get through it. Like often people will say, I went to this restaurant and there was only one table. And I think to myself, but on a random Monday evening at Acre, sometimes you also only have one table. It happens. Like it's Stellenbosch in winter. But then as soon as season starts, Mondays are full.
Yeah.
And off you go. So you've got to be realistic about that thing. We're very quick to be judgmental, but we fail to always recognize the fact that we run restaurants in a small town at the bottom point of Africa, in a very interesting economy, where we've got 60 odd million people in South Africa, where maybe 10% of South Africans can afford to eat in restaurants. We've got an unemployment rate of 42%, whatever the case might be at the moment. Like, it's wild. So what do you expect? It's a difficult environment to do business in, but it's also a fun environment to do business in. It just means that people do things differently. We very often look overseas and you see restaurants in the UK with 50 chefs in it, and a front of house team of 20, and they charge £300 for dinner. Yeah, but I mean, that's not South Africa. We can't do that here. There's not a market for it. So we really have to do things. We always say to people that we build our restaurants for South Africans, and we do. From a price point and everything, it's for South Africans. And then if a foreign guest happens to find us and like it, then good for them. But I'd rather have like a restaurant full of locals. That's important to me. It's we are South African. We're from here. We're not going anywhere. It is what it is. So it's important that we realise that the more things we do for locals, the better. If you think of a funny one, all these things chefs they say, I'll never sell burgers, or I'll never sell chips. But what do the people want? Yes, the people want chips, then you make the best flipping chip that you can make.
Yeah.
Or the people want burgers, then you make the best flipping burger that you can make.
Yeah.
And an example for us is always, my favourite example is during COVID. Nobody phoned me and said, I can't wait to go back to Overture or whatever. People phoned me and said, I just want a pizza, a burger, a sushi, fish and chips. Like at the end of the day, we're all just normal people and we eat normal stuff. So the secret for success for me in South Africa is how do you make normal stuff delicious? And if you get that right and you can cook for people, like I love the idea of maybe one day owning a fish and chip shop, my retirement job. I want to have a fish and chip shop.
Yeah.
And just make delicious fish and chips, and that's okay. And it's not a pride thing. It's not an ego thing. It's just like that's what I like. I like simple things, and give people what they want. Just make it flippin' delicious.
Amazing. Well, then you have to come and eat at the Feed because that's exactly what we do. It's basic menu, simple food, but really delicious. And the Freya burger, in my opinion, makes the best burgers, not only in town, in South Africa.
Yeah, I eat too many of them at the moment. I came back from the TV show and I probably scoffed 4 that week, to be honest with you, so I need to stop now.
Oh, amazing. Thank you for your time, for your insight, for your... I could sit here and ask a million questions, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Candice.
It's an absolute honour to speak to you and pick your brain. And good luck for the upcoming season.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. So we look forward, I look forward to dining at Acre, which I haven't been to, which I'm ashamed to say, and I also haven't been to Chorus, which I'm very excited for.
So Chorus is being rebuilt now. We took a hit in that 7th of April store, like a proper
hit.
Hit.
Wow.
And so we've been closed almost for a month and a half now. We're opening up at the end of August again, and it's looking, obviously today it's looking beautiful. So it's also wonderful. It's another opportunity to rethink and redo, reimagine and redream, and then we can go again. So we're all reeled up to go.
Amazing. Well, good luck for that opening.
Thank you.
And we'll see you around on your Harley.
Thanks, Candice.
Cool. Cheers.